Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of NFL Free Agency Frenzy, Day 3, presented by First Star Logistics. We are live from the First Star Logistics studio here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined by my co-host, my main man who's been joining me each and every single day, Ev McPhillips. Got a lot to get into, but before we do, if you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have a lot to go over, a lot of free agency news that has happened, a lot of stuff that has happened. So yeah, Ev, let's start it off over in the NFC East with the big news of the day. Zeke Elliott has officially been cut. Zeke Elliott has officially been cut. And to me, it felt like this was a long time coming. It felt like it was a long time in the making. What are your thoughts on Ezekiel Elliott no longer being a Dallas Cowboys? I can't even believe that I'm actually saying it because I feel like ever since that contract, right, that he signed for $100 million and held out and all that stuff that he did, it felt like it was heading this way at some point or another.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, if you look at it, this is the first year that they could really kind of get out of it, and it made sense to do so. I mean, they were looking at an $18 million cap hit for him last season, and you're about to come up on this season paying him $16 million at the same time that you're paying Tony Pollard on the franchise tag. Like that's not going to work. That's too much money allocated and too many resources you've allocated to the running back position, which we all know the state of that. And the NFL is telling you the state of that position in the NFL right now. Aaron Jones, a very good running back, excellent running back, had to take a pay cut just to stay with the Green Bay Packers. They probably said, hey, you might get cut if you don't renegotiate here and take this cut. And maybe the Cowboys said the same thing to Zeke. Because looking at his coming cap numbers of 16, 14, 17, 16 million at 31, absolutely, they're trying to get the heck off of this contract as soon as they can. And I think looking back on it now, you kind of, in retrospect, think about what they could have gotten instead, right? They passed on Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
How much Jalen Ramsey would be on the Cowboys would be absolutely wonderful. And I'm sure Jerry would have been very happy with it. But obviously, we know how he felt about Zeke. And, you know, I think two people in the world absolutely adore Zeke more than anyone, and that's his mom and Jerry Jones. And I think if Jerry Jones is giving up on Zeke, then everyone who's asking, should my team sign Zeke, should also give up on him.
Wow, so you don't think this guy has a place in the NFL?
Oh, I think he does, but do you think he's going after being signed for a contract where he's making $16 million a year for all these next years? Do you think he's going to take less than 7, 8? I mean, the guy's a good pass blocker and he's, you know, quality in the run game, but you showed it with Tony Pollard. Even the last 2 years when Zeke still was looking good, it was so clear that Tony Pollard deserved more. And they gave Zeke all these touches just out of what they've given to him. They had to justify it, right? The sunk cost fallacy. Look how much we put into this guy. Like, we have to keep going to him. And it was painfully apparent then, and it's going to be painfully apparent wherever he goes, that he'll be the rotational guy. He'll be the Samaje Perine for some offense, man. And that's how it's going to be. And it's unfortunate. It's the state of the running back in the NFL today, right? When you hit that age, 27, 28, Todd Gurley, David Johnson, now Zeke is there too, man.
Right.
It's so tough to pay these guys when they start to lose that juice, and there's so many good running backs still out there on the market coming out in the draft. So just all that, I think you're seeing a big shift from where we were just a couple years ago when Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Zeke Elliott all got these extensions, got these $15 million a year, got these 13 and 14 a year. And I don't think you're going to see that again for a little bit, at least maybe 2 or 3 years.
You know, that's an interesting point that you made about the running back market sort of coming down from a free agency value standpoint. I was also thinking about the linebacker standpoint because I was so fixated. You know, we saw Levante David sign today for $7 million. He's back with the Buccaneers.
Right.
And you're thinking about it. I was thinking about it. You know, remember the last couple of seasons, people were signing these big-time linebackers or quote-unquote big-time linebackers like the Corey Littletons of the world or the Nick Kwalkowskis or whatever it was.
Yep.
And then those guys wind up getting cut the second year into their contract.
Right.
And I think the league is starting to realize that, you know, playing off-the-ball linebackers, you know, 20 million guaranteed, 25 million guaranteed isn't smart business. So kudos to those guys because they were able to capitalize on what the market was at that time, but it feels like the league is starting to come back down.
Blake Martinez, another name for the Giants.
Blake Martinez,
yeah.
wow.
Didn't he get 10, 11 million
He
coming
got
out of
something
the
crazy, didn't
Yeah,
he?
and he was cut like the year after, man.
Yeah.
And he was a tackle machine, and that's another thing that you talk about. Like, if you've got a team that seems to funnel the ball toward that linebacker, right? They talk in fantasy a lot about run funnel, pass funnel, teams that say we're going to get beat in this way, but you're not going to beat us in other ways, right?
Yeah.
And that was something that they did where Blake Martinez got a lot of those manufactured tackles and got paid for it.
Yeah.
And that was not the case in New
Remember
York.
Preston Brown?
Yep.
Preston Brown led the league in tackling, I think, 2 years out of his time in Buffalo.
Guy moved like a boat.
Absolutely. Yeah. He was so slow.
I mean, yeah.
He was so slow. He was a short tackler. If he got there,
he was,
you,
man.
Right?
And his grip strength was great. And I don't mean to like talk bad about the guy. It's just a matter of fact when you have to be athletic to play the linebacker position because it's, hey, sprint out and cover the flat there. Okay, now take the running back up a wheel route on the sideline. Okay, now cover George Kittle on this over route over the middle. I mean, it's why guys like Warner are making so much money and are those guys really, because those are the guys, man. You need those crazy athletes to do what we asked linebackers to do in the NFL today.
Right. And guys, we're going to get to your questions. If you guys can do us a huge favor, everyone give this video a like. And also, while you're here, please subscribe. This is our third day of NFL Free Agency Frenzy. We'll be going live tomorrow as well, 6 p.m. Eastern time, and Friday, same time as well, as we'll be breaking down all the latest news in NFL Free Agency, and we'll be even talking through some of the rumors. So, guys, save the questions for the point where we get to the points where we start answering your questions. If you guys have any questions on any rumors, I will answer those things. I will try my best to answer those things.
He's got juice. Get after him.
Yeah. All that stuff. So yeah, make sure you guys give this video a like. Let's get it to 300 likes if we can. And let's also subscribe while you're at it. We greatly appreciate your support that you guys give us because we can't do this without you either. But I want to keep the conversation rolling. Evan, I want to give a special shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers right now.
Okay.
And I never do this, but I'll say this. Cole Holcomb was a really good signing for them. Cole Holcomb was one of my favorite backers in the league for a while now. He has been, the Commanders. And I'm a big believer in that guy. I think that was a home run signing by them. And usually, I'm slow to praise certain signings, but having watched Cole Holcomb the last couple of years and with the Washington Commanders, that guy's just a ball finder. He just gets it done, man. So like, I was really, really happy to see that they were able to, that some team was able to give him the contract. Of course, I wish it wasn't the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it was a great find. Did you have any thoughts? And did you have any favorite signing today that you like that?
Not really. It was kind of a quiet day, like you were talking about. I thought Levante David coming back for the Buccaneers was good for both sides. I think Rashad Penny with the Philly Eagles, that honestly might be, if you get that guy healthy, I mean, talking about how good he was, everyone remembers how good he was, and that's the reason everybody kept drafting him all the time in fantasy, right? Because this guy just kept getting injured, but every time he was on the field, even if it was just for 4 weeks, he was tremendous, where you're talking about he was averaging 6.2 yards per carry and 4.4 yards after contact, which both led the NFL. And he averaged 0.23 missed tackles forced per carry, which ranked 11th. So even if you're talking about a guy who's mainly run focused in an offense like the Eagles, where you have that option threat, where we know that the running backs who play in those option offenses get more yards per carry on top of what they already get. So you're talking about this guy with more open lanes and more opportunity. I mean, if he can stay healthy, this is a home run hit for the Eagles, in my opinion.
And some other moves that I like. Arden Key signed with the Tennessee Titans.
Great signing.
David Montgomery signs with the Detroit Lions. Thought that was a great move. Darius Slay got released by the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a 32-year-old cornerback asking for a new contract.
About $10 million probably for, I don't know, 2 years. Well, you think he's looking for something like Pat Peterson?
No. This guy's trying to break the bank.
At 32
this year he was scheduled to make $16 million.
They're still paying him $13 million against the cap on his void year.
Understand something. He actually wanted a new contract. That's what made this whole thing with the Philadelphia Eagles blow up.
Did they laugh?
Of course they laugh. A 32-year-old cornerback who's getting paid $16 million, right? The Philadelphia Eagles, that made it easy for them. It's like, okay, well, we'll move on from you, and then we'll re-sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
$13.8 million against the cap. That's what void years do to you guys, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Paying him $14 million to not be on the team. So when you hear about restructures and going all in void years, this is the kind of stuff that hamstrings you. So that's something to keep in mind when you're literally paying a guy top of the market money. I mean, think about what Jamel Dean signed for. I mean, that's a quality corner who's still in the prime of his career right now. Like, no one wants to touch him for that money.
And to think it still wasn't enough.
Right.
It still wasn't enough for Darius Slay. And so he moves on from Philadelphia. And now he's saying, there's going to be a lot of cornerbacks, elite cornerback tandems out there. Buffalo Bills re-signed Jordan Poyer. Jordan Poyer wanted to go to Miami, but once Miami traded for Jalen Ramsey, that nixed that idea. Then Jordan Poyer wanted to go to the Raiders, and that didn't happen. Now Jordan Poyer lands right back in Buffalo.
Jordan Poyer wanted to go to the Raiders.
Jordan Poyer did want to go to the Raiders. They were his second choice.
Interesting.
Raiders didn't. Remember, it takes two to tango. It's like we say on the show all the time. It takes two to tango. A free agent player could want to come here all that he wants. A free agent player could want to flirt.
Just because Isaac Seumalo is interested in the Bengals doesn't mean the Bengals are interested in him.
Exactly.
Understand?
What I mean? It takes two to tango. It takes two to make a deal happen. Jerry Tillery just signed back with the Raiders. So, it's a lot of things. I mean, when you look at it, it does take two to tango, man. And it's one of those situations where, Jordan Poyer is a great safety, but he's aging, right?
Right.
He wasn't going to always get what he wanted out in the open market. And I think a lot of these free agents are finding out things the hard way. But want to keep the conversation rolling here. I know you have a lot to get off your chest right now.
Oh gosh, you have a lot to get off your chest.
This is the part of the show, guys, where I shut up and I just let Ev talk. We're gonna get to your questions, I promise. If you guys do me a favor, Daniel, how many likes are we at right now on the video? Let's get our subscribe. Let's 90. We're at 90 likes. Let's get this to 400 people right now in the chat. Let's all subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's all give this video a like. Let's get up to 300 and we'll start answering some questions. But Ev, I know you have a lot on your mind when it comes to the Aaron Rodgers situation. So, Evan, the floor is yours.
I have so much I could say, and I promise I'll try and be brief just to get all my nice out real quick. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for being with us. Please do hit that like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys so much. Now that I've expelled all the niceness, let me bring my exasperation back out. Let me bring my angst and just absolute frustration with how this Aaron Rodgers situation has been handled. Oh, there were obviously a bevy of quotes today on the Pat McAfee show, so I'm just going to try and run through the highlights real quick and try and hit on everything that really just, to borrow a phrase from Peter Griffin, grinds my gears, right? He opens the show early saying, I'll say this isn't a decision day. This is just me announcing to the world what's going on. We're days past this. It's clearing things up. Okay, you proceed to announce right after that you're playing for the Jets. That's the decision everyone's waiting on. So why did you say that? Because you later said, oh, well, I've made the decision since Friday. Okay, good for you, dude. You've been sitting here waffling on retirement, said that you were 90% sure when you went into your darkness retreat that you were going to retire. And you're talking about just this wishy-washy attitude, and you're playing this game of semantics. You made the decision Friday, so today's not decision day. This is when you announced it. Come on, man. Stop playing these word games. He later talks about, all I want is transparency. You are the one who's been playing these word games. You're the one playing these semantics with what day you actually made the decision versus when you're announcing it. You've talked about this when you said, I'm immunized to the question, I'm vaccinated. Where was the transparency then? You want transparency? You've been flipping back and forth on whether or not you were going to retire or play the whole season to the point where you alienated your own teammate and friend in Devontae Adams, who said, hey, I didn't know if Aaron was going to play another year, if he was even going to be there. That was part of the reason I left. So when you're complaining that you have Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb and you don't know who the heck to throw to because you brought this on yourself, not only the fact that you want to bring this to the Jets, which is another aspect of just the ridiculous quotes that came out when he was talking about, having a wish list. That's so ridiculous, he said. He mocked the idea of having the Jets giving them a list of players that he wanted. He says, that's not the reality, and it's so stupid to think that I would do that. First of all, this man went on an ayahuasca trip in a darkness retreat. So, Aaron, believe me, that is not near the stupidest thing I think you might have done, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. But then you follow up that statement with, yeah, I did meet with the Jets and I told them what players I would be interested when asked. So you did give them a list of players that you might be interested in that did include a 39-year-old Mercedes Lewis when the season kicks off and Randall Cobb. The Jets have a great situation across the board on their defense, their offense. They should be maximizing the cap dollars they do have, not spending it on a retirement home for Aaron Rodgers' buddies. They've got CJ Uzama. They've got Conklin. These guys are run blockers. Whatever you think about them as weapons, these are run blocking tight ends that are quality, that are getting paid $8 and $7 million, which is a lot, as we've seen for these tight ends. And you want to go sign Mercedes Lewis so that Aaron Rodgers can have someone to play ping pong with or hang out in the locker room? I mean, come on, man. It just drives me crazy. He says things like, oh, I'm the longest tenured Packer and I've never tested free agency and I have so much love for the town. It's time to do right by me. When did you do right by the team, your teammates? Devontae was sitting there with his future in limbo and you couldn't even be honest with what's going on. You can't make your decision until what, August last year? You're telling me you didn't know before then. You talk about wanting them to do right and how you felt betrayed by the Packers or blindsided because they were wanting to move on from you. You said yourself that you were leaning towards retirement. 90% was the number you said going into your darkness retreat. And suddenly you come out like, oh yeah, I do want to play, but you guys don't want me? Oh, why? Because they've done this for a year and a half, 2 years now. They're over it. All right. And I hate that the Jets have to acquiesce to this man's tyrannical desires, feeling the need to get him there, because we've seen all these musical chairs fill up. The leverage that Aaron Rodgers has is, I'm going to retire. If I'm the Jets, I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers and the show that he's put on in the last 2 years, thinking what level of narcissist you are. And do I need to wreck my franchise for you? And you know what? I think that you are such a narcissist. You won't retire in the same year as Tom Brady, because you will have to share the stage with him when you guys get inducted to the Hall of Fame. And I really don't know at this point if your ego can handle that. I think you'd come back just to even try. And you want to talk about how the Packers are dragging their feet, right? Oh, they're holding this deal up. I've had it figured out since Friday. Oh, good for you, dude. Okay, that's awesome. Do you think it might make it a little more difficult for the Packers to get even like reasonable assets if you're making all the money you are at 40 years old, talking about how you wanted to retire for the last year and a half to where you were 90% sure, going on with Brandon Marshall, talking about, oh, well, if I only play 1 year, why do you think that the Jets might not be willing to give up the assets? I wonder. Maybe you aren't worth as much as you think you are. Maybe the Jets have a great core, and I would love to see them have said, I understand Allen Lazard fits to a reasonable degree that you can get a little bit of goodwill with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, but God, you have great players already. If you have to wait an extra year or two to get that perfect quarterback for your system, let your guys grow. Keep growing. Don't rush it. You don't need to be like the Rams. You don't have a coach or a Hall of Fame player that are about to retire, that are talking about retiring left and right every offseason, or that are reaching 30, okay? You don't have to push all your chips to the table. You've got so much good young talent, and it's just absolutely, I hate seeing him play the victim card after going through this whole process, waffling all the time and then saying, I want transparency, I want clarity, I want this and that. You don't get to make these demands after just being so non-committal to anything. How are your teammates supposed to care about you? Elijah Moore's out there floating in the wind right now after this Allen Lazard signing, going, I don't even know if I like it here. And how is this supposed to make him feel when he comes in there, man? We know how thorny Aaron Rodgers has been already about his chemistry with receivers. How is that going to improve their relationship or help it at all? I'm done. I'm done. I won't talk about Aaron Rodgers anymore. I promise. I've given him enough of my time.
Go ahead, Ev
Malik.
cook.
Wow.
Wow.
That was fiery. That was fiery. I didn't expect. Listen, I know you said you had a lot to say. And guys, this isn't just a strictly Bengals show. This is the Sit Down with Malik Wright, and this is our free agency special. So we are not going to just talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to talk about the NFL as a whole. I apologize if you don't like that. But Evan, wow, that was yeah, wow.
Again, don't have a problem with the decision to go. Don't have a problem. Just handling it the way he has for the last 2 years, and then looking around like, oh, I don't know what's holding up the deal. I have no clue what's going on. I don't know. I'm completely oblivious to what's been going on. It's stupid and ridiculous that I might have given a list of players that I would like the Jets to pay baby pursue, not demands, just players you'd be interested in. That's ridiculous. Taking ayahuasca trips and going into darkness retreats to try and get some magical revelation that clearly never came because you still couldn't make a decision afterwards.
Yeah.
Even after you came out of that darkness retreat and said a decision's coming soon, and it wasn't. What was that, a month and a half ago now? I mean,
yeah.
Just okay. I'm sorry. I'm done. Go ahead, Malik. You got it.
No, I mean, I don't think I even need to say anything else about Aaron Rodgers. Honestly, I think Ed kind of covered it all. He feels how he feels about the situation, and
so much respect for the talent the guy is, but everything else is just I can do without, man. I hope he goes the Jake Plummer route and just kind of does his own thing in the woods after he's all said and done. That'd be nice.
No, I hear you on that one. We have a lot of
real quick breaking news. Fletcher Cox back with the Eagles.
Yeah, I know. I was just about to announce that. You heard me on the phone earlier today asking about that because I know Fletcher Cox had an offer out there from the New York Jets to join back with the Jets.
Interesting.
And he opted to obviously stay in Philly. You know, me being from Jersey, Philly's only but an hour drive from where the Jets play and things like that. Maybe an hour and 20 minutes. So anyway. We want to get to some of the questions, but before we do, if you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel while we are at it. I appreciate each and everybody for, joining in on the discussion and asking questions, Bengals related and NFL related as a whole. We're going to get to all those questions. I appreciate the people for being patient as well. Again, State of the Jungle, which we usually do Wednesday nights, is being taken over by Free Agency Frenzy show. So we're going to be talking all things NFL and going from there. But somebody says, does Bud Light come with the job when I'm an employee at First Star Logistics? First Star Logistics, I can't say enough good things about them. This show is powered by them. This is their studio, and they've been gracious enough to treat me like family since I've been here since September. And they go above and beyond to make sure that I have everything that I need and support me in everything that I do. So I've got some news with that coming up shortly as well. Some big news with that.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about what's about to take place this upcoming year and things of that nature. But give this video a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you have a Facebook, follow First Star Logistics on Facebook as well. Time to get into some of these questions, right, Daniel?
Ooh, yeah. Get your rumor questions ready.
So
pick at them.
It's time to ask the questions. And I appreciate people supporting us as well in the chat as well. Somebody said, shut up, bro. They can talk NFL, not just 5-minute rants. I love it.
I'm sorry, guys. I had to get that out. That's my therapy session as much as it is for you guys sometimes. All right. I just had to say my piece.
All right. So we're going to keep it with Fletcher Cox. Does a Fletcher Cox signing mean anything for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the Eagles? Does that mean?
I mean, I don't know what the Eagles plan to do with their money, nor do I know how much they guaranteed them. This is just breaking it off the top of my head, but I do know with them moving on from Darius Slay, it allowed them to have a lot more money to their disposal as well. And I know that they want to keep Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They definitely don't want to lose both of those guys. They really believe in the guy. They like the guy. They think he's a good for their culture fit. And yeah.
Josh said, you mentioned that you wanted to have a day to collect your thoughts about losing Von Bell. Any updates on a safety plan or what you guys would do at safety?
So I asked about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson again yesterday, and I was told again to stop asking. The Bengals have no interest in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
There you have it, folks. There it is.
That's
it.
No contact was made with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. No offer was made to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That is what I was told directly. I was also told to be patient about the safety market. They're still working through things. That was the most
Jordan Poyer was the only one signed today, right?
That was the most vague answer that I could get, and that's what I got. We're still working through things. Okay, got it. That means stop asking. For that means politely. Stop asking. Like
right. That means for him. Yeah, he isn't saying you guys stop asking. You guys are great. Keep asking.
So Rotten is asking, is there any teams that are interested currently in Eli Apple?
I don't know of Eli Apple having a market from our other teams. I do know the Bengals have not re-signed him just yet. I don't know where all that came from today. But I do know that if the price is right, they would like to have him back. But I don't think Eli Apple would be the first person I would still say we're kind of sort of in the first wave of free agency.
We're closing the window on that.
Right,
yeah, for sure. He's going to be like tier 4.
Exactly. They are much willing to sit back and see how the market falls.
So we got a guy, JJ Productions, asking about Hayden Hurst. What do you guys think that he's going to succeed in Carolina?
I don't know. It's tough because it seems like Hayden Hurst just has bad luck. Whenever he wants to go to a team or whatever the case may be, it seems like always the next year they go out and pick up a tight end, or they go out and they sign a tight end or draft a tight end. So the guy just seems to have bad luck wherever he goes. So with his luck, there's going to be a monster tight end. What's the tight end's name from Georgia?
You're talking about Darnell Washington?
No, not Darnell Washington. The
Brock
tight
Bowers?
end, Brock Powers, right? And with their luck, Carolina Panthers will be in a position to draft Brock Powers next year. And then the Carolina Panthers will draft Brock Powers, and Hayden Hurst will be on the out. But I'm happy for the guy, right? He went out and got a contract. I tried to prepare everybody leading up to it that, he was moving on from Cincinnati. It was always headed towards this way. And, thank the guy for what he did for the last, year here in Cincinnati. But exactly. I think a lot of people are kind of, jumping the gun here, right? He put up a good season. He had a great season. CJ Uzomah had a great season. If people haven't caught on yet, Joe Burrow makes tight ends makes tight end money, here in Cincinnati. And he helps reestablish your value in the National Football League. So I'm looking squarely at a tight end who was, in Miami, whose value got tanked by Daniel's favorite quarterback in the National Football League, Tua Tagovailoa. And I'm looking squarely at the shoulders of Mike Gesicki, and I'm saying, Mike, do you want to be a winner? Do you want to have a chance to win a division? Mike, do you want to have a chance to reestablish yourself as one of the premier tight ends in the National Football League? Because that's what the MO was about this guy coming out of Penn State.
Malik, are you saying that with the tight end market the way it is right now, with the strong class in the draft, that the value that these guys might be getting on their contracts is falling right into the Bengals range?
Absolutely. The fact of the matter is Dalton Schultz is being talked about, right, as a guy before Mike Gesicki on the open market, right? We're talking about, what's the other tight end's name?
Safety blanket. Dalton Schultz is a safety blanket, guys. Like he's a quality tight end. He's a zone beater. Yeah. He's going to do the Jason Witten things where I'm going to go settle down in the zones and I'm going to get the yards that I can get out of this. And that's fine. But we want a playmaker.
Right.
You want a playmaker like Gesicki. You want a Foster Moreau. You want a guy who can be an athlete and be a threat in the receiving game, because you are in the pass happiest offense behind only Kansas City in terms of neutral down pass rate, in terms of passing frequency over expected. Bengals are first and second in these metrics.
Right.
They are a passing offense, and there is no better place to go. You are looking squarely if you want to be a pass catching tight end, if you want to recoup your value.
Look at the camera when you say that.
I'm peeking both, baby. I'm peeking both. Malik, you're cute, man. I got to keep peeking at you. All right.
Appreciate you.
No, I really think that this is the place you come. You're looking squarely at Kansas City. You're looking squarely at Cincinnati, and you're going, look at what they did for Hayden Hurst, who has been on multiple teams, like you said, moved around. He is one of those solid tight ends. But Mike Gesicki, those guys who are a little more athletic, they give you the juice. And that's going to take you over the top when you're attacking the middle, like the Tyler Eifert up the seam.
I'll tell you this, Mike Gesicki, in my opinion, has to be, we have the opportunity to do it right this time, right? Mike Gesicki, to me, has the same upside that a Tyler Eifert had here in Cincinnati. Honest to God, that's how I view Mike Gesicki. I view him that highly. I think of him
God, I miss healthy Tyler Eifert.
Right. Could you imagine a healthy Tyler Eifert currently right now in this Bengal system? Lethal. Absolute problem. So you put Mike Gesicki.
This is a family show. Can you not say things like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just being honest with you. It's going to be – look, if Mike Gesicki signs in Cincinnati, he easily reestablishes his value in the National Football League. Next year, you get to dip your toe in the tight end market, and you get to say, you know what? Sign me. I put up X amount of yards. Remember, the last 2 years, right? You saw with the contracts that Hayden Hurst and
Hayden got 8, right?
Got paid, right?
8. They both got 8.
They got ridiculous.
They both got $8 million a year.
So let me ask you a question, right?
God,
you people say Gesicki can't block, though. That's why you draft the tight end. They're still going to draft the tight end at some point that can do everything. You're not going to always get a perfect fit, but right now for the Bengals system, they need a security blanket. They need somebody that is actually a weapon in this offense. That's
12 personnel is making a comeback, folks.
Right. All right. So when I look at it, you see the numbers that a guy like Hayden Hurst put up, CJ Uzomah put up. You mean to tell me you don't think Mike Gesicki's you don't think Mike Gesicki could put up that same exact performance, if not more? He would easily be the best tight end the Bengals have had since Tyler Eifert. The guy put up 700+ yards seasons in Miami with Ryan Tannehill and Tua Tagovailoa throwing him? Oh, yeah. So for me, I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it. A lot of people are like, oh, well, they're kind of upset the Bengals haven't done anything just yet. Hold your horses. Be patient, right? That's the beauty about being a team that was so close to a Super Bowl. You don't have to go out there and make splashes and throw a ridiculous amount of money and get into bidding wars with teams and begging players to come sign here, right?
It's not like the options started drying up today.
And this works for the Bengals because the Bengals don't like to guarantee a lot of money past the first year. So this works out perfectly for them, right? They don't have to go out there and say, you know what, I'll pay you $10 million this year, $12 million, or whatever that looks like, right? They can sit back and start to just pick at the free agency market as these guys' value start to come down. This is how free agency works. Daniel, let's keep the conversation rolling.
Yeah, so I got two things for you. First off, we need a counter for how many times Mike Gesicki is mentioned in this show.
I know.
We do. God bless, man.
And just so you guys know, I have a love for Mike Gesicki's game, unlike any other. I hated the way Miami used him.
Mm-hmm.
I also hated the way he gritted in the end zone when he got in the end zone. But I do think that he would help unlock this offense. And you want to stop the teams from double teaming Jamar Chase. You want to stop teams from loading the box. You want to stop teams from doubling T. Higgins. This is how you do. You add another playman. I'm sorry, Hayden Hurst wasn't scaring anybody. And he also struggled running routes, for being completely honest as well. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, and if people have any questions about him, just go watch his film. That's all I'll say. But we're at the point in the show, our guy Justin saying, Malik, at this point, are the Bengals in the office today? Malik, Evan, give the Bengals fans something to hold on to. Like, what's the plan here?
Guys, calm down, okay? We talked about...
We had this conversation.
Again, everybody from every step of the way has been telling you, top down at every part, in any organization, any reporter has told you the same thing. They're not going to be involved in tier wave 1. I know it's day 3, but we are still on the closing end of that wave 1, wave 2. These are waves. These are not days, right? The values are going to be there. How many safeties went off the board today? A 32-year-old one in Jordan Poyer, who you said his market was not there for him. People were not interested. You talk about a tight end. Hayden Hurst went off the board. And was it Eric Saubert? Was that the other one?
Like
that's it. Guys, like the options are not drying up. They don't need to rush out there and get somebody. There's still 5 or 6 guys that they can have at all of these positions and take their pick, because you know what? Any of these guys with Joe Burrow is immediately going to just exceed their value. You're going to get surplus value on that. So they don't need to be beggars on this market. They don't need to pull an Atlanta Falcons, a Chicago Bears, and overpay to get a good player or even a decent player to walk through their doors, because Joe Burrow will get them through that door.
All right. So I want to get to this question really quickly. Somebody says, bro, you didn't have this conversation. You said they were focusing on their own. Well, that failed. What now? I think that's the frustration. Did it fail? They expected to lose Jesse Bates. Did it fail? They were never going to pay Von Bell what he was asking for.
No.
Did it fail? They were never going to guarantee Hayden Hurst $13 million.
Why
Did
would
it fail?
you?
They would never pay Samaje Perine $7.5 million. Did it fail? They were able to bring Jermaine Pratt back at $7 million. A year annually outside of the first year, with the first year's $10 million guaranteed. So when we talk about things failing, what are we talking about? This isn't Madden. Remember, they drafted Dax Hill to replace Jesse Bates. The answer, they didn't expect to lose Von Bell. They didn't want to lose Von Bell, but they were never going to pay Von Bell what
these guys are all making $5-6 million a year, guys. They are not irreplaceable. I know they're irreplaceable in your heart. I get it. I love Von Bell. That man is immortalized forever. And when I finally get myself a house in 3 years, when the market calms down, there will be a giant picture of the Juju Smith-Schuster hits. Okay.
You love them that much.
Love that moment so much. But I'm just saying, divorce your feelings from it. They lost guys that they were paying $4, $5, $6 million to. And guess what they're going to replace them with in 4 or 5 days? We're going to look back and they're going to have tight end and safety for $5-6 million in that range. They're going to replace these guys because, I'm sorry, they are replaceable players, guys. They are not extremely unique or special. Okay. So they can get younger at these positions while spending the same amount of money without giving them the raises that they got.
Yeah. And let me just say, failing to not paying a backup running back whose
$7.5 million
greatest attribute as a pass blocker is not failing. It's not failing.
You're asking Aaron Jones to take a pay cut, and you're going to go out and look at teams overpaying for these guys. Guys, these are overpays. They are. Carolina's doing it because they need that veteran leadership. They need that person. They need that locker room, just like Jesse Bates and the Falcons.
I just want to be careful because I don't want people to also think that we're making excuses for the Bengals organization.
No.
We want them to be active. We want them to go out there, but we also think that they are going about it the right way.
We understand the logic behind it, looking at the market as it unfolds, right?
Right. So I think it's one of those things where just be patient and let's see what happens. Daniel, let's keep the conversations rolling.
Yeah, so people are asking about the running backs. Malik, should Cincy draft the running back, stand pat in free agency, or look for one in free agency?
Draft, absolutely. They should draft a running back. And yes, Von Bell would be looked at as an overpay. I see a question here saying Von Bell was an overpay. It would be looked at as an overpay when you consider if it came between Jermaine Pratt and Von Bell, you're going to pay Jermaine Pratt. Jermaine Pratt is entering his prime. Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson have been two of the best linebacking tandems in the NFL.
Right.
So again,
I don't want to say it was outlandish because it wasn't outlandish. It wasn't a gross overpay, but at the same time, it's just not in the Bengals price range, which is not to say that they're cheap because like we said, you can get all of these safeties out there that are still 25 and 26. You don't need to put a 3-year contract in front of a guy with guaranteed money and have him playing until he's 30 or 31 when you don't feel comfortable about that, when you're trying to get younger and cheaper, because again, you've got these guys coming. Why not pool like you did with Cheeto Awuzie? Get these guys on a down year for $7 or $8 million for 3 years and then let them go when they're 29, 30, when we know defensive backs start to break down. It makes sense, guys. It does. I promise.
And here's the last thing I'll say about the Cincinnati Bengals for people that are in an uproar because the Bengals lost 2 of their top 2 safeties. Here's what I'll say. If there's anybody you're going to trust with your defensive back room, it should be Luanarumo.
100%.
For the last 10 years, 15 years, whether it be the University of Purdue, the Miami Dolphins, the New York Football Giants, that's what the guy was tasked with doing. You know, he was tasked with getting defensive backs up and going. He's the reason why the Dolphins drafted Xavier Howard. He's the reason why a guy like Cam Taylor-Britt was able to have the season that he had after he started the season injured. He's a reason why, I would say that the safety sort of like, remember, people were down on the Von Bell signing when the Bengals first have signed Von Bell. They were like, I don't know what the Bengals are doing. So if there's one position group that I would trust Luanarumo with, it would be the defensive back room. You might sign a guy and people are in uproar like, what in the world is this? I remember when Cheeto Awuzie got signed and me being a big Cheeto Awuzie guy, the years he was in Dallas, people were down on that. He wound up working out quite all right for us. He wound up turning around Eli Apple's career. So again, I'm not going to tell you guys how to feel. I'm not going to tell you guys, you're not justified in feeling how you feel. And I see people are saying, quit making excuses, the things of that nature. So we won't speak about the Bengals any further regarding that. I understand the emotions are high about it. Daniel, let's keep the conversation rolling.
Yeah, I got a couple rapid fire ones for you guys. And once again, these are not my thoughts. I am speaking for the people. What about Ezekiel Elliott to the Bengals?
No.
Again, Jerry Jones gave up on Ezekiel Elliott, all right? So you need to give up on him too. It is not worth it, and you're already paying a running back. You're not going to run and go do exactly what the Cowboys just said, we can't do this, all right? That is the team with the most money out there to just absolutely blow. So if they're even saying we can't pay 2 running backs, you don't pay 2 running backs, period, all right?
All right. Woo. Do the Bengals have interest in John Johnson, or should they have an interest in him?
He was cut by the Cleveland Browns. I don't know. I don't. I mean, the guy just got cut a couple minutes ago. I don't know if the Bengals have interest in him or not. They've got to see him play for the last couple of years, twice a year. So I think that'll be a decision. As I was told, they're still working through the situation at safety, and I know when I'm being told to pretty much stop asking the question. So I won't ask that question until the next 2 days.
All right, what's your guys' thoughts on Travion Williams? Somebody saw a report about him. What's your thoughts?
I like Travion. I think Travion has a lot of juice. I think he's a young guy still. You know what I mean? I was worried about him because I remember the one time he got a lot of snaps. He fumbled. I forgot it was like that. It wasn't last year. It was the year before. Last year we
Cowboys game.
They were terrible. Yeah.
Because it wasn't this Cowboys game. That was a different type of bad. That was
Yeah. So.
All right. The Jamal Williams. Are the rumors true about Jamal Williams to the Bengals?
I never heard that.
I'm going to say the same thing about the Ezekiel Elliott thing. You don't need to pay 2 veteran running backs who are over the age of 27, 28. It's just, you don't need to do it.
Juju Smith-Schuster, what are your guys' thoughts? Him to the Patriots, 3 years, $33 million.
I would have liked to see him go after Adam Thielen personally. for Mac Jones. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is overrated personally. That's just me, but I do think that I'm happy for Juju Smith-Schuster. He got paid.
If he didn't do it for the money, then I don't know why he did it, because clearly that's not going to improve your value. So maybe it's the length of the contract. He felt like that was the best offer he was going to get, because you remember he hit free agency, the last 2 seasons? And this is what he settled for. I mean, that's what Tyler Boyd got, 3 years ago? 4 years ago now almost? Says a lot about the quality of receiver that Juju is, or that the NFL views him.
And if you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, this is day 3 of free agency frenzy. We'll be going live each and every single day at 6 p.m., breaking down the latest news in the NFL. So, yeah.
All right, one more running back question. Is Bijan Robinson a long shot at pick number 28?
Now that the Cowboys got rid of Zeke Elliott, maybe. I mean, if Jerry Jones isn't licking his chops when Bijan Robinson comes up to the board, I mean, they got Tony Pollard on the franchise tag, right? So that means he's not got a long-term deal. Maybe they want to get cheap at that position after paying the heck out of Zeke. I don't know.
We got a question from our guy, Rick. He's asking, Evan, can you give us a breakdown on Devin Singletary? Obviously, Singletary's been, kind of up and down. What would you say on Singletary as a player real quick?
I think that's another veteran running back that is – you saw him – Buffalo went out of their way to constantly try and replace this guy, right? Zach Moss was getting a run for a while. They went and drafted James Cook, and you saw him take over toward the end of the season. I think that's going to be kind of a veteran. He's still a little bit on the younger side at 25, but if you give him a 3-year deal, does he start to break down at 26, 27? That's just, again, that's how running backs are. But he had a good season as a pass blocker last season. He's been a quality running back. He's constantly at that middle tier, above average tier of running backs. So if you can get the guy for, $3 or $4 million a year based on the market, like I like him for any team at that price at, $4 or $5 million. But again, if you're paying Joe Mixon, if you're keeping him on the roster and you're intent on doing that, you do not have room to pay other running backs even $3 or $4 million. It's just, you don't.
Our guy Pedro's asking, Malik, would you trade a 4th or a 5th round pick for Terrace Marshall, the receiver from the Panthers?
No.
What about just taking a shot on a DJ Chark with the way because maybe he doesn't want to be behind T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Maybe he wants to prove that he can be that guy, but that's a guy with all the traits and size that I would like, and could be that speed and that deep shot for option for the Bengals behind Tyler Boyd. So.
Our guy Matt Brewer is saying, how do we Venmo you guys so you can buy a beer or two? Evan seems a little tight after the last couple of days.
Oh, well, Evan has all the beer he needs. You guys should see it. Show the people.
Show the people.
Show the people. Come on.
I'm honest here. All
right here.
I got to sit back. That's all right. We're taking it easy tonight. All right.
If you guys ever see me at a Bengals tailgate, I'm usually walking around with a case, and
I
don't drink them all. I'll hand them out.
Tell people the story how when I first met you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So when I first met Evan, right? At first, we had a football game, I believe. We had a football game at Coleraine High School, right? Over in Cincinnati. Evan shows up blasting his rap music.
Some Earth Gang, baby. Dreamville.
And then the next day, I see him at the game with a 10-pack.
Oh, it was 24.
A 24
Don't
pack.
sell me short. Don't sell me short.
And literally every time I saw Evan after that for like 3 or 4 times, he had a pack of beer in his hand. And I was like, all right, well, I guess this guy just, goes hand in hand with beer. But that was my first introduction to Evan. So
whiskey works too quickly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So people are asking about the Bengals offensive tackle situation. They're saying, why can't we fix the tackle situation, or why are we focusing on a running back?
What does fix mean?
Yeah. Well,
is that spending $23 million on Orlando Brown to try and pay him?
Breaking news. Juan Thornhill to the Browns.
There's that safety spot filled. All right. Well, hey, you still got Julian Love. You still got Taylor Rapp. You still got these other guys out there that can fill that position for $5 or $6 million a year.
Again,
I'll be interested to see the terms.
I'm not going. I told you what happened. The Bengals fan base is upset right now, so I'm not.
I'm sure.
I'm not going to climb down that tree.
Nope, that's fine.
What was the original question?
The offense tackle situation.
So when we talk with Duke at the combine, it seems like they're more interested in depth versus actually rebuilding this offensive line. He was very bullish on that. He pretty much talked about how when this group played together, they played great and they started making strides down towards the end of the season. We'll see when Lyle Collins comes back. I still think they should go out there and sign a right tackle that can at least come in and start, because I wouldn't anticipate, Lyle Collins being healthy week 1.
No,
You know, so-
absolutely. So I think a guy like we were talking about a Kelvin Beachum is a possible. He re-signed with the Arizona Cardinals for I believe it was 2 years.
Yeah.
You talk about a guy like maybe George Fant, who has that swing tackle versatility, who has legitimate, not just moving him around willy-nilly. All right, guys, he hasn't played left tackle for 13 years, and now you're switching him to right. Taylor Lewan or Donovan Smith.
Mhm.
Just keep that in mind. He has played both positions.
Don't say Taylor
He would
Lewan's
come-
name. Remember, there are people out there
I know.
who think Akeem Adeniji is better than Taylor Lewan at this
anyways,
point.
all right. So, anyways, yeah, a guy like a George Fant that would come and give you that versatility where if you need him to play right tackle as a starter for the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, or if you need him to be the starter if he wins out that battle in camp, sure, go ahead. Then you feel better about it. If he wants to play left tackle, if God forbid something happens with Jonah again, then you can feel confident in that if you don't want to start Carmen there. So it at least gives you that option. So that gives you a potential starter as well as depth, which is why I like a guy like that, because I think the money fits. I think the situation fits. And that's important for people to consider when there's a tackle, sign him and put him on the line. I don't care where. Move Jonah, move him. Guys, if they've not played right tackle before, we talked about this yesterday. It's just don't ask 30-year-old tackles to switch sides after they've been playing left tackle since freshman year of college.
Right.
Our guy Jeff saying, how would you guys react to Foster Moreau signing with the Bengals?
Love
He's a
it.
Former LSU Tiger with Joe Burrow.
Love it. You wouldn't. You want Mike Gesicki. We all know he wants Mike Gesicki, guys. All right. Like, let's not kid ourselves. But objectively speaking, wouldn't you be happy?
Whatever makes the Bengals fan base happy, I'm for.
Love it. Can't wait.
Our guy, Honest Fan, saying Illuminor makes so much sense right now.
So
It's
much
like
sense. That's
he's
my guy.
Right in front of them.
That's my guy. The fact that he hasn't signed anywhere yet, PFF was projecting him for about 4 or 5 mil. Again, the question was, that's his first year starting. Our NFL team's going to take that chance on a guy like that, right? And with what we saw, these guys, the sure things in free agency, the Mike McGlinchey, the Juwan Taylor, people don't even feel that way about Orlando Brown, guys. That's depressing the market entirely.
Yeah.
So you said a lot's probably waiting on Orlando Brown to figure out what he's going to sign for. And I think you'll see that kind of help set the market to where I was thinking, hey, you got a guy who could potentially be a starting tackle in an NFL or in an NFL league that is starved for offensive line talent, especially a tackle.
Right.
I was expecting maybe the guy gets overpaid on a $6 or $7, $8 million prove-it deal. But now if you can get this guy for like $5-6 million and just put heavy on the front loaded deal like the Bengals like to do, man, he might like that money or that opportunity where he feels like he can start and be on a contender, because that guy was tweeting about Joe Burrow throughout the season.
Yeah.
And he was tweeting about how the Bengals were making it to the AFC Championship again. He's got eyes on the Bengals. I'm not saying he's interested in signing. I'm not reporting anything. I'm just saying.
The insider. Let's go.
Yeah, Evan the insider. Here we go.
Evan, Daniel's saying, I wonder if teams are questioning the high amount of penalties he got. Do you agree with that?
That's completely fair, because when we look at, obviously we like to look at sacks, right? Those are the plays that stick out in our mind, right? But we talked about how often, if you're a starting tackle in the NFL, that is less than 1% of your plays if you're just looking at sacks. So it's a really bad way to get a good sense of who they are. It's important to look at the sacks and say, how did they happen? If you're a left tackle dropping back, and I saw Donovan Smith, he allowed a sack. Tom Brady literally spun and ran right into his guy. Like, that's not a sack on Donovan, but that's what he gets credited for, right? Outside of places like PFF, which is why if you don't agree with the grades, that's fine. But the data itself is still valuable to look at, right? A little bit closer. So my overall point is penalties, like holding calls, can be just as bad as sacks, guys. They kill drives very similarly to sacks do. So they are important. What you're hoping for is that this guy is 28 and just had his first opportunity to start. And if you get him with a guy like Frank Pollock, that you can coach that out. Coaching out sacks, coaching out giving up pressures a lot, asking a guy to be an athlete or handle responsibilities that he can't do, that's what gets you in trouble.
Right.
But if you've got sloppy technique and that's resulting in penalties, then okay, we can work with that. We can give you some tight end help if you really can't defend that edge that well, especially if you're going to draft a guy, like you said, where the league is trending toward more 12 personnel as linebackers get lighter, as boxes get lighter, as the passing offense comes. So you're going to have those run blocking opportunities for a tight end or for them to block and release in that passing game. So I think it's important to consider all variables, penalties, sacks, and especially pressures, which sacks are valuable, pressures are predictive. Okay. That's what you want to look at if you're trying to project future production. So it's definitely important to consider, but he's still my favorite target because he doesn't have a lot of the severe question marks that others do.
If we all can give this video a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, we greatly appreciate the support that you guys give us on a continuous basis. Remember, this is day 3 of NFL Free Agency Frenzy presented by First Star Logistics, and we're live from the First Star Logistics studio here in Cincinnati, Ohio. We'll be going live again tomorrow at 6 p.m. same time, and Friday 6 p.m. the same exact time. Hoping, I'm praying at this point the Bengals do something.
They're gonna have their pitchforks and torches ready to go, man. I'm telling you, man.
I'm like the guy with the meme. Do something with the stick at this point. You know, when Bengals,
you're about to get 300, man. You're the messenger, and they're about to kick you down the pit, man.
I'm waiting. I'm like, please let me drop a gift. Let me do something. You know what I mean? At this point,
I've been told I kind of look like Gerard Butler a little bit, so I can get the whole get up and just kick you into the hole if you really want to.
They got to do something.
Our guy, the platypus, said, "Evan, get back on the offensive line rant." I had to show that to some of my friends. They all loved it. So
I'm glad, man. I honestly, guys, I try to give you a realistic understanding of kind of, I had the great fortune to be around a lot of smart people at Pro Football Focus when I was there and listen to them talk about the value of these offensive linemen and how just looking at sacks can give us an inaccurate picture of what is out there, and that can help you find value. And the value of having a average player at every single one of these positions in a group, because these are one of those group positions, right? Like cornerback, where you can be as good as you want at left tackle. We saw this with Laramie Tunsil and with Joe Thomas, right? Doesn't matter how good one lineman is, because the defensive coordinators are too smart. They're moving their guys around all over the formation now. They don't just line up static and go at people. They get creative, all right? And they're going to target your weak link, whether it's bad corner, whether it's a bad offensive lineman. They're going to come at you. It's important to be average at those spots. So I will always try to let you all know what the data says and not adhere to that approach, but at least try and get you to consider things from a different perspective, because looking at as much information as you can, which includes film, which includes combine athleticism, which includes this data, that's all important pieces of this puzzle. And analytics can help you see the bigger picture when sometimes we can be focused very much on what is in front of us, not saying that any one piece of that is more valuable than the other.
And JJ Production, my guy, the Vikings fan, been joining us each and every single day, man. Greatly appreciate you. You want our opinion on Byron Murphy to Minnesota? I thought that was a fantastic move.
Great signing, guys. What a fit!
I think Byron Murphy is just entering into the prime of his career.
Great man cover.
I like his length. You know, what I mean, I think the guy. I think
exactly what they're looking for in that scheme. Exactly what they're looking for.
So yeah, I thought that signing was great, and him going up against Justin Jefferson every single day in practice is only going to make him a better cornerback.
All right. We've got one more or a couple more, but people are asking about Cooper Rush. What's your guys' thoughts on where he goes? Do you guys think that he should be back in Dallas, or where do you guys think he lands?
I think Cooper Rush could be a starting quarterback somewhere, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah. let me just throw this out there real quick.
Were you a Ben DiNucci guy?
I know I'm not a Ben DiNucci guy, but I am very happy for Jacoby Brissett for him to go out there and get the deal that he got.
Deal. Good.
I would have liked it to be a little longer just to show that commitment. You know what I mean? But he signed a 1-year deal with the Washington Commanders. I think he's going to be the quarterback there, and I think he's going to do great. The guy is a pro's pro. So, very happy for him. In terms of Cooper Rush, I would like to see Cooper Rush sign with the Arizona Cardinals, probably take over as starting quarterback until Kyler Murray gets back healthy.
Okay. I was going to say, hang on. You had me in the first half. All right. My God.
I think he'd do well there.
Oh.
He said, "Bring your lunch pail to work," kind of guy.
That's right.
That's our new saying. That's Malik's
guy. Yeah,
he's a bring your lunch pail to work kind of guy. That's the type of guy Cooper Rush is. He definitely can help elevate or help a roster out, I would say. So he's a guy that I'm high on. I still think he could be a starter in this league.
Our guy Eric saying, "What's your guys' opinions on Baker Mayfield to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?"
I mean, I think that all the expectations for Baker Mayfield, at least for me, are out the window a little bit. I mean, I think the guy is a competitor. He wants to win. He has fire with him. But that's about it for me. Yeah.
I mean, it's a 1-year, $4 million contract.
Yeah.
You're talking about a low-risk flyer if you don't feel confident about Kyle Trask coming into the season. But I think it's a good opportunity for Baker at least to recoup his value with Mike Evans, with Chris Godwin there. I mean, there are still opportunities and weapons there where sometimes the other stops he's been haven't had necessarily the talent that they've had or they could offer. So I think it's a good opportunity for him to at least try and recoup some of his value to where maybe he can get a team to take a chance on him like Jacoby Brissett next year, or pay him just a little bit amount of money, or have him be a backup somewhere where if this season doesn't go well, maybe that's what he's got to consider.
I think every quarterback that has sort of become a journeyman in the NFL should follow the Geno Smith route. It's okay to be a backup quarterback. It's okay to try to learn and reestablish yourself in the National Football League. I'm looking squarely at my guy Drew Lock. Sign on with a team. Latch
You
on.
still got
No
faith in Drew
more.
Lock?
No more
You're
Drew
still
Lock.
holding
Listen,
out hope.
In the
Oh,
words of Geno Smith, they wrote me off, I ain't right back. And I
Yeah.
think that Drew Lock, you could be the exact same thing. I like Drew Lock. I still believe in the guy.
I like Drew Lock since I saw him
Drew Lock
doing the
signed
put
with the
on with
Colts.
young Jeezy on the sideline, and I was
Sign-
like, if that doesn't
sign-
take me back to high school,
sign,
God. but-
sign with the Colts. Sign with the Colts or something like that. But I do think
Oh,
Baker Mayfield
man.
might have a better season throwing at Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I
This
do.
man said Drew Lock.
But I'm serious. Come on, Drew.
I-
Come on.
No,
Drew's-
I disagree. I'm out on Drew Lock.
I
I'm
hear
done.
you.
I know who Drew Lock is.
You
I'm
know who
good.
Drew Lock is?
I'll pass on that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all the time that we got here for today. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us live on day 3 of NFL Free Agency Frenzy presented by First Star Logistics. Make sure you guys give this video a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back live tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live. I expect tomorrow to be a longer show because we'll be breaking down everything that has happened in free agency, and undoubtedly more deals will be announced.
Oh yeah.
So
Slow day today.
we thank you. Somebody, JJ Productions, man, he loves it. He said, "Can we get a 2-hour stream tomorrow?" I mean, we'll see.
Next week we got
We'll-
that draft show. We might
Next
end up
week we
going
have
2
a
hours
War
on that
Room
one.
draft
Yeah.
show, but that's all the time that we have. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Give this video a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Appreciate your support. Have a good night, everybody.